Hello everyone and welcome to Less Boring Adventures. On this episode I go to Inverleigh to go camping at a free campsite near the river. Nice little drive down there, and this was the first campsite I checked out, but unfortunately I decided it probably wasn't what I was looking for because of the fact there wasn't that much grass. So I moved on to another campsite within the free river, and this one looked a little bit better, so this is where I decided to put my tent up in the end. This site was further than the river, but it was also a little bit more secluded as well. And it was pretty clear that people had a campfire here, so you know what? It seemed like a perfect place to set up a tent, and that's exactly what I did. One thing that I did do is bring a mallet this time, because the last few times I went camping I didn't have one and basically ripped my hand open trying to push pins into the ground. And let me tell you, a mallet makes all the difference. Within no time, my tent had been set up right under a Widowmaker. And with that, and the tent being set up, I decided to head into town and get some firewood. So the campsite itself is on the Leigh River, which is where the name Inverleigh comes from, and it's at the junction where the Barwon River meets the Leigh River. So this whole road that you see here goes pretty much along the river, and there are loads of free campsites. It's actually an awesome free service that they have, and it's great to stay so close to the town. It's a 15-minute walk into town. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any toilets, and so you have to walk to town if you do need to use the loo at any point while you're here. But it is a nice place and a really good place to set up camp as well. I have to say how beautiful the river actually is here. It's a really beautiful place to set up camp. So Inverleigh is a town that's been around since around 1842, where a man called William Lawson opened up a hotel, which is that building over there. I think it's a private residence now. There is another hotel within Inverleigh. I went there and had a Parmigiana while I was making this video. Interesting place. Loads of North Melbourne memorabilia on the wall. Really beautiful old pub, and probably the best Parmigiana I've ever had. And for some reason, even though it was Fremantle versus North Melbourne that was playing at the time, they were just showing the NBA for some strange reason. So anyway, moving along from football, Inverleigh itself is a town that's got a lot of heritage buildings, a lot of old churches, and it used to have a train station that ran through the town as well. The station building itself is abandoned now. I believe you can still go and find it. I didn't get a chance to, unfortunately, on this visit to Inverleigh. But one place I did try and visit is a suspension bridge, which is on the, I suppose, on the edge of the original town, because everything north of the southern part of Inverleigh is the new area that was sort of added on to Inverleigh around the 1980s. So they started selling farmland around that time. And everything north of this little suspension bridge is pretty much new. It's not from the old 1800s days. But yeah, Inverleigh was a really nice town, and it was cool to check out this suspension bridge as well. Because if you could go over this while doing a wheelie, and let's say there was some sort of golden star over the top ailing of the other side of the bridge, you know, kids would be doing it all the time. And let's say if they collect those golden stars, it'll eventually open the door. And when they open that door, they have to fight a giant turtle. Well, you know what? We won't need video games anymore. We'll already be there. This suspension bridge can hold me up. This is great. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh, this is heaven. Hello, Mr. Wagtail. Oh. Alright, let's go back. One thing I've never understood about regional towns in Victoria is how they decide what streets get a pavement and which ones don't. So I ended up buying some firewood. I just forgot to bring my car and lugged around 15 kilograms of the stuff all the way back to the campsite. The plan at this stage was to watch the football in my tent and around where the campfire would be, sitting on a stool from Amazon which could only hold 100 kilograms, and the last I weighed myself, I was 99 kilograms, so this could have been a disaster. But what wasn't a disaster was what happened with the Fremantle Dockers against North Melbourne, a game they won by, I think, more than 100 points. It was a great game. A great game to watch in a tent as well. But considering I didn't really get much footage for this video, and considering we had a campfire, I figured it would be a good time to tell a few ghost stories. So prior to doing these videos, and I suppose the last 2 years, I was actually a ghost tour guide. I used to work with a company in Melbourne, and I used to host ghost tours around the city, Williamstown, Pentridge Prison. One of the buildings that I used to do ghost tours at was the Altona Homestead, and I do believe that Lantern Tours still run tours of the Altona Homestead, and I would recommend them as well. It's a very unusual place, and even though I used to do tours at the old prison as well, I used to think the Altona Homestead was more haunted, mainly because so many strange things would happen there. The weirdest thing, though, that happened to me was I was setting up one night, and as I was walking past the children's room, I could hear a bell coming from outside. Now, the homestead is in a park, so I thought to myself, oh, maybe it's just someone on a bicycle riding past. But the strange thing is, I went to the staff room after the children's room, and I started to hear footsteps outside going towards a door that never opens that goes from the staff room to the locked off courtyard. So I went outside and I began to have a look about the courtyard. No one was there. Called out, no one responded. I went back inside and I turned around and there was a glass panel on the door leading outside. I could hear footsteps walking up to that glass panel. I could hear the sound of a bell ringing. So I got out of the building pretty fast because it was time to start the tour. But that was the weirdest thing that happened there. So another place I used to do ghost tours was D Division at Pentridge. Now that is wine cellars now, and generally closed to the public. But there are lots of strange things that used to happen in the D Division. It was a very interesting place. Longest prison in Victoria when it was built in the 1890s. So one night, we used to let people walk around on the bottom floor and have a look about. And the exit was on the middle floor, so I looked down, everyone was leaving, and they'd left all the doors open downstairs. Now, I'd say there's probably around 50 to 60 doors downstairs at the D Division. I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to walk down and close all the doors as I go. I'll walk down the middle walkway, go down the steps at the end, and then close the doors. So that's what I did. It wasn't a windy night. There was really no one else inside the prison except for me at the time. But by the time I went down the stairs on the other side, every single door in that prison was closed. So either I was going crazy or it was ghosts. And I would have loved to have seen the security footage that night, but I didn't have access to that. So who knows? I have no explanation for it, and that's what really creeped me out about the whole experience. The last story I want to talk about is a bit more of a personal one. So I had tried a meditation at home. It was a one of those CE5 close encounter meditations. I didn't know that at the time, but the idea was that you would meditate and you'd think to yourself you're going to a spaceship and you're inviting aliens to come and visit. There's a whole movement about it, but I just tried it out of curiosity. I didn't think much would come from it. Now, my wife was working nights and she came home at 3 a.m. in the morning. I hadn't told her that I'd done this meditation, but as she was drifting off to sleep, and she's not a big believer in UFOs, by the way, she suddenly says, in a sleepy talk sort of way, there's a spaceship outside and there are creatures waiting for you. And then she fell asleep. And I remember, I think I was awake for the next 3 hours saying the Lord's Prayer in my head, hoping that the aliens wouldn't turn up. But all I can say is I've never done a CE5 meditation since, and I don't intend to because I was thoroughly creeped out by the whole experience. That wasn't actually too bad of a night. I fell asleep probably around 1 o'clock and woke up at 7:30. It's pretty misty out here. But yeah, a bit noisy last night. It sounded like someone was having a party somewhere and quite a few hoons. You could hear them driving off in the distance, and people cheering. So I don't know what was going on, but yeah, that was good. It was good. I'm gonna call it quits on this one. Problem with this place, not having a toilet. You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my god, I'm busting. So I want to clear this tent up and get to the public toilet as soon as I can. So I'm going to leave it there. You guys have a good one. Bye. Amazing how quickly you can pack everything up. That thing turned on again while I was sleeping, I reckon. And look at that. The stool was holding me up, but the ground wasn't.